Hello everyone, Kier here, and welcome to the InfiNOT podcast. I'm focused on the casual nature of the game, and each week I discuss the new patch, the new card, and my feelings on the game. Let's hop into it. So this week it's pretty simple. We have Toxin that just released, and the OTA update that went on the 24th. So let's start with Toxin. Toxin is a 2/1 that says, on reveal, return your other cards here to your hand, plus 2 power for each returned. So if you have a full lane, or rather 3 cards before you play Toxin, he will end up being a 2/7, and of course you can bounce him with Beast and do other cool things like that. So oftentimes his value is way, way above what a typical 2 cost would be, on top of, giving you the option to refund stuff. I've seen this card being played a lot in Bounce, and I think that's the most obvious home. It also helps that Black Swan in that particular archetype is making a bit of a comeback, and Toxin gives you a really good excuse to run Black Swan, because if you Black Swan on 2, you have a bunch of 1-drops on the board, and then you throw Toxin on 3 or 4, you can then activate the Black Swan, get all of those cheap discounts that Beast would normally give you, that kind of thing. And I think for the most part, this is, to say it's, popular, I don't think it is. But it's very, very strong. Like, the Bounce archetype is already doing extremely well, so I don't think that they needed this to find themselves in meta prevalence, but it's just good. It's good value. I mean, even in a deck that didn't want to necessarily fully commit to the Bounce stuff, I mean, even just, putting this in a lane with a hood gives you so much value. At that point, it's a 2/3 that gave you another 1/6, There's a lot of reasons to run Toxin. Falcon, I think, is the most easy card to get rid of in those decks, particularly because Falcon, the advantage of the Falcon is that it affects the board, so I'd say as a substitute, it's fine. If you don't have Toxin, you probably run Falcon. But I don't think that you would need to run Falcon, Beast, and Toxin. That seems like a lot, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Bounce players are just running them all and doing extremely well. As for me, I didn't get the card, but I'd say that this is easily a 5 out of 5. And I mean that in a good way. I mean, it's not overpowered, in my opinion. I think it does its job well, and the fact that it doesn't give a discount to those cards still makes it fairly balanced. It's giving it power. So, yeah, I think this card is good. I'm not seeing a ton of it, but it's good in its archetype, so slam dunk on that. Now to get into the juicy stuff. This OTA just felt off to me, and I'll explain more as I go through. I think the decisions that they made were good. It rubs me the wrong way. One of those is Storm. So Storm went from a 3/2 to a 4/5. And the most obvious reason they changed this, and they mentioned this in the patch notes, is that Storm and the Legion combo with War Machine is just really annoying to play against. It's not necessarily overpowered in that it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does happen, it completely locks you out of the game, and that's not really fun. So I understand where they're coming from, and I like that they did compensate this card with some power. 4/5 is okay. That's enough in a lane to make a presence, and being able to set up for this easier is great. But it just feels weird to see a legacy card like Storm take a hit like this for a newer card. And, it's fixing a problem that they caused by making War Machine ongoing. So, I don't know. I understand where they're going with this, and, I mean, thematically, what I like is that this is making it so that you can't play there on turn 6, which kind of fits with other locations like the Vaults. There's not a lot of other cards that instantly lock down 2 turns of the game. So I don't hate the premise of this. It feels weird seeing a pillar like Storm suddenly get changed like this all of a sudden. Another one in a similar vein to that I felt was Claw. Claw went from 5/4 ongoing the right side, has 8 power, back down to 5/4 ongoing the location to the right has 7 power. They buffed Claw a little while ago, and the card has felt really solid. Really, really good. But I guess, and then they mentioned that they felt that Claw was still causing a problem with newer players, but like, I don't know. I feel like having just a good card from a lower collection level is good, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm out of touch. Maybe I don't understand it, but like, I think it's pretty reasonable to have Claw with a total of 512 power. Another card like that is Gamora, or if you look at Spider-Woman, like those cards, the reason that Claw was better, obviously, is that it's dependable. He does split up the power, so I understand it from that perspective, but like, I don't know, this just feels weird to me. Now to some changes that I'm actually fairly excited about. Misery went to a 4-8 from a 4-7, which is good. I feel like Misery didn't quite land like a lot of people thought that she would, you know? Like, her effect seems really strong for her cost, but getting rid of all that power does matter, so giving her an extra point of power makes it a little more even. I also feel the same way about Electro. They moved Electro from a 3-2 to a 3-3, and I think that's fair, right? Like, Electro at 3-2 is just laughably bad. And the fact that there are other cards in the game now that give you energy makes it really hard for Electro to keep up. Like, I haven't seen a dedicated Electro deck in a really long time. You're usually substituting him or trying to get rid of him or trying to destroy him or whatever, because that allows you to manipulate his effect a lot easier. And I still think that that's going to be the case, but now if you were to play a 3-3 Electro, you're only 1 point worse than a 3-4, you know? Like, that's acceptable. So this is good. I like this change, especially because his ongoing is so punishing. Rock Slide was moved to a 4-5 from a 3-3. And if you've been playing the game for a while, you know, Rock Slide used to be at 4-6, and he was really, really strong. Then they moved him down because of the meta at the time. And now he's back up to 4-5. Honestly, I don't think that this changes his place in those decks, and actually it's kind of a nice curve going, 4-5 Rock Slide into 5 whatever Darkhawk, and then finishing it off with like a Mystique and something else. Like, that's pretty good. The only real downside is that you can't like Mystique and Rock Slide last turn anymore, which was a pretty common playline. I suspect that this is definitely going to make the card less played, like less splashable, but I still think that he's good. Now Shadow King is really interesting. If you play Shadow King, you know he's good. I'm including him in my decks more frequently because if you don't want to commit to having Shang-Chi in your deck, Shadow King can help you in so many matchups. And they're moving him from a 2-2 to a 2-3. He's an already good card, but the reason that they're doing this is because they feel like Agent Venom is a little too good right now. But they don't think that Agent Venom needs a nerf right now. So they're trying to help the counterplay. And honestly, this feels good. It feels really good. Even just tempoing out Shadow King now is acceptable. He's a 2-3. So, it's kind of weird. This card is now overperformed because of Agent Venom, which is just an interesting sort of paradigm. Another one that I'm really happy to see is Daredevil going to a 2-3 from a 2-2. And I like this. There aren't as many enablers for Daredevil as there used to be. And even Professor X right now is way weaker as a synergy, so making it a 2-3 makes sense. I also, I'm a fan of Daredevil in my good stew list, because having the ability to always land a Gamora is great, and you can also get preemptive tech cards ready, or whatever. There's a lot of value to Daredevil. I like that it's not as hard to put into your deck anymore. You're not sacrificing so many stats for his effect. Typhoid Mary got a pretty significant change. She went from, 410 ongoing, your other cards here have -1 power. Or, excuse me, your other cards have -1 power, to 410 ongoing, your other cards here have -1 power. So she went from affecting the whole board to just her location. And that is so interesting. That makes this card way better without actually making her overpowered. Now, at worst, she's a 4-7, right? That's awesome. And it kind of mirrors Red Skull, right? Like, if Red Skull gave the entire opponent's board power, that would be a terrible card and you'd never play it. And that's why Typhoid Mary is never played. It's because her effect is so damaging to your board. This makes it way less damaging. Like, is she gonna suddenly start appearing in every deck? I definitely don't think so. But as somebody that really enjoys Jessica Jones, I might start splashing Typhoid Mary in my decks and just seeing if it's worth it. It's really cool to have something that has playability but isn't so destructive, you know? Really nice change. I like this. This almost reminds me of the Atuma change. Like, taking an effect that is completely terrible and making it into something that's only kind of terrible. It's good. I like it. Last little change here is Meek went from a 1-0 to a 1-1. And, yeah, this is good. I feel like Meek could use a little help, a little more incentive, because, I mean, cards like Hydra Bob exist, and so 1-drops need to be able to put up either, you know, higher stats than their costs, or they need to be doing something that's insane. And I think Meek right now could use the help, especially in competition with Scorn. I mean, it's not even a contest there. But yeah, that's the new card and the new OTA. I know that this video is going to be shorter than usual, but that's okay. I think it's all right to have some shorter ones here and there. I hope that you enjoy your snapping. I'm struggling in the meta right now, but I'm trying to make it work. And if there's one thing that you can remember, it's that I'm InfiNOT. Thanks for listening.